to say the least. I got right on getting some more of that. And then, because you got to remember, it was different in those days. Everybody came to buy weed, they'd be laughing, and you know what I mean, like weed make you do, and eating cookies and everything, you know. That's all. So it couldn't have been too bad. Anyway, after a couple of years, we had really elevated. And what happened with me personally was all of my friends had a job. And I said, man, wouldn't it be nice if they didn't have to work, if they could do like I do? So I started, anybody that want to, we say, get big, they could get big. They could do that, and I would get them started and maintain them. So that's basically what we did. Pretty soon, people really misunderstand some of the things you do. The top people in my crew, I bought Cadillacs for them, not just little Coupe de Villes. I bought Fleetwood Brohams, as big as you could go at that time, except for a limousine. A Fleetwood Broham. And in those days, we didn't appear in movies, we didn't appear in magazines except ours, Jet, Ebony, Sepia, all of those. So everybody talked, the heroes lived in our area. And we always talked about so-and-so man played ball. The Phillies, was that Will Stargell lived right there on 82nd Avenue. He lived right there on 82nd Avenue. His mother, everybody knew each other. My brother played ball too. He played with them. He played for the Phillies for a while, But he played minor leagues all the time, and all his friends. Joe Morgan there, he's from East Oakland. That was my brother's best friend. Joe Morgan went down to Houston somewhere and got rich. Okay, the point is, if you wanted to advertise something, if every time somebody pulled up and down the street in one of them big old pretty Cadillacs, everybody talked about it. Because that's what people talked about. So much so that if you had an old Cadillac, if it was 2 years old, we call those legends. That's what if so-and-so got a 63 Cadillac, you'd say, so-and-so got a legend. In other words, it's talked about so much, it's become a legend, and so that's what we used to call them. That was, if you had a so-and-so, he got he got him a nice legend. That's a bad boy, but it's 63, so they didn't talk about it so much. It is a historical piece. Anyway, that was the way we talked. The point is this. The same thing we did in those days is the same thing we're working on now, except the process of evolution and time. There's been 50 years in between that period. And in what we're doing, that means there's 50 years of evolution, right? Because 50 years ago, I had left East Africa already. Yeah. I was in Colombia 50 years ago, starting up a whole new enterprise. And the thing about it is, nobody thought to do stuff like that. But I thought, well, where's the source of those things? Where does it all come from? Oh, it comes from down there. Well, I'll go down there. I mean, people didn't do that, okay, you didn't even see black people traveling at that time. Here I am traveling all over the world, and especially showing up in Latin America and Mexico in Europe and anywhere like that. So anyway, basically we got things rolling, and when the system realized what we was doing, that's when really a lot of the heat came down. Because they were spending their time watching the Black Panther Party. Now, in the East Oakland office, the guy, what's his name, Emery or something? Huh? The artist, yeah. He lived, I think, right around on 79th Avenue. Everything we was doing, 85th, 73rd. He was right there. The Black Panther Party in East Oakland, the office was on East 14th, and it was between 73rd and 74th Avenue, right? Now, our main house at that time was technically in the back of the way buildings go. If this is the main street and then there's a pawn shop here, and then in the back of the pawn shop is where our main house was. Next door to the pawn shop, Jerry's pawn shop, was the office of the Black Panther Party. They distributed newspapers, they had meetings, they did everything. You could go out of our back window into their place. You know, that's how close we was. And if you've seen any of the old pictures, you could tell that half of the crew I had had been linked with, the party. The point is this. Everything that happened then was for a reason, and we had broken the barrier on what is possible for black people. And we set a style that black people can do whatever they can visualize, whatever they can dream. So, and the reason we brought everybody that was in the hierarchy of Broham was because, guess what? You could go downtown and get in a Tribune, and advertise your record. I had record stores and all that stuff. Or the most chit chat that went around was who was driving down the street, where they turned the corner, right? Man, I saw so and so. He was driving. He's got a bad Broham, man. It's got bow ties, Star Wars, that boy. And it was riding like this. When it turned the corner, it leaned like that. That's what they talked about. So if you wanted free advertisement, good advertisement, what do? You buy your hierarchy new Brohams. It's not that they don't save their money, which they didn't. They didn't, because they was working long enough to buy their own Cadillac. And they was getting paid enough, plus whatever they could stuck to their hands, which is normal, it's absolutely normal, whatever stuck to their hands was the product. Not that I did quality control or anything, but I did send people around to them to get packages from them and see what they was giving out. And it was different than, but it's supposed to be. All I wanted was, I wanted to get 3 times whatever I spent. If I spent $10,000 on a package, I wanted $30,000 back. And so I just arranged it so I could get that plus a little extra, and anything for spillage or leakage or lost or whatever they do with it. So that's why we rocketed to the top, because everybody else was micromanaging and they was getting every dime. And I was wondering, I said, so-and-so buying packages like I do, and he do it all himself, and he like he diluted like way more than you do. And he ain't paying nobody, and he ain't having no money. It was a mystery. But when you spread it around, hey man, it just grew. Anyway, is it a little hot in here? Let me pick up, because that wasn't my subject. This time the Negro is, where we are now, the Negro's in the driver's seat. And we're getting star billing too. When we say we're in the driver's seat, that means that we are managing the direction in which the movement is going, and all focus is on us. It doesn't make no difference whether they're saying nice stuff or not, but the focus in this area and anywhere else we go is on us. So that means all around the city, all around the region, no matter what is going on, it's going to get back to us. They ain't doing nothing over there, man. They doing too much. It's too much heat over there. Whatever it is, it's us. And as we're getting around now, not only are we in the driver's seat, but the issues are ours. Zionism is the main enemy to Islam, not the USA, not America. Because if they had a war in Iraq, they went to war in Iraq to break down the Iraqi army, because the Iraqi army had got so big and so powerful in fighting the Iranians that the Zionists didn't want to have a big army like that left in their region with weapons and everything else. That's why what happened in Iraq was a trick. Saddam Hussein asked April Gillespie. He got permission from April Gillespie to attack the other Arab regimes over there. And she said on TV, we have nothing to do with inter-Arab conflict. So he got a clean, you can go ahead and do what you want to do. So when he did it, and then this man, the old Bush, was saying, you got to come out of there, he thought the guy was just playing, that it was a big show. He thought it was a big show. He thought, I done got permission already to do this. And so they set him up because they wanted his weapons back. And then George Bush's son decided, well, technically the Zionists decided, you left him with too many weapons. And his army is too big. So they said, well, we'll just wipe him out. So they destroyed the whole country. Can you imagine? For the sake of the Zionist state of Israel, they destroyed the most progressive country at that time in the Middle East. They destroyed it. Then the next country, Syria, they just took the weapon, they just took Golan Heights, just took it. All of that is totally against all Geneva Conventions and everything. Nobody can go against everything that's written in there except the Zionist state of Israel. Okay. And if you notice, in America right now, you don't hear, Europeans are talking more about the Israeli state than the Muslims are. Right? Now, here we come. So they've just left the thing total disregard for history and everything, and they left us. We can drive as fast as we want on that road. It's like being on the Autobahn in Germany. You can drive as fast as you want out there. That's the way Israel is, and that's the way this Israeli entity is in America. Everybody else would say, I don't want to be out there driving no speed, especially that fast. Well, that's what we're going to do. We've been doing it, but now we're going to specialize in it. You see, we're going to specialize in it. And we just had programs so far to warm up, to get us ready for what we've been scheduled to do all along. We always talked about Trump and the Republican Party. When Trump started talking years ago, at first we said, man, Trump is here to destroy the Republican Party. Then less than a month later, we said, no, Trump is here to destroy America. Does anybody remember?